In Caesar's account, he portrays this as a draw, saying 70 of his men died with 600 wounded, compared to 200 Pompeians dead.
There's no way bro had the audacity to look at the casualties and be like, we're gonna call it a draw.
Continued
all right,
in favor with the populace as he continued to chase the Senate.
Back where we left off.
In early March, Caesar and his...
Someone did say that this is the most boring, underwhelming civil war. Let's see how true that is in my last comments.
6 legions caught up with Pompey at Brundisium. By the time that Caesar arrived, Pompey had already managed to transport half his force across the Adriatic. Caesar wasted no time, immediately besieging the city and beginning construction of a breakwater across the harbour to block it. In response, Pompey built large towers on merchant ships that could fire down on Caesar's engineers to hamper their progress. The strategy was effective, and Caesar's engineers were unable to complete the breakwater in time. Pompey's navy returned from Greece, and at night, Pompey was able to evacuate his remaining force from the city.
That's crazy to me how, like, these men were literally just allies, like, not so long ago, and now, like, they're just switching up, shooting at men whom they just considered to be their allies a literal second ago. It really does blow my mind how a lot of people can do that. And like where's the conscience at, man? Like, do you not have a conscience, man? Oh my goodness. Like, you don't think to yourself, bro, I was literally just chill with this guy, like, literally, like, 5 seconds ago, or not too long ago. Now, here I am, shooting arrows at him, trying to freaking unalive him. What the heck, man?
Once in Greece, Pompey marched to Thessalonica. He established his base, levying new legions, and sending envoys to all the client kings he had made in the east, gathering Roman legions and foreign soldiers alike to his banner. Meanwhile, he sent
that looks like a lot.
And North Africa, the 3 key grain suppliers of Rome. Pompey would
seems like Pompey's in a better position than Caesar.
Mobilize forces
I'm not gonna lie.
to effectively besiege the whole of Italy, cutting off the grain supplies and starving Caesar into submission. It had taken Caesar just 3 months to force Pompey out of Rome and take Italy. Despite this, Caesar's initial plan to end the war quickly by capturing Pompey and the Senate had failed. With Pompey's escape, and with no ships to pursue him, the chance for any quick resolution disappeared. Caesar began preparing for a prolonged war. He first marched on Rome, entering in a triumph. Quickly he convened what was left of the Senate in Rome, professing his ambition to save the Republic and declaring Pompey an enemy of the state. He also plundered the treasury and temples of Rome, allowing him to fully equip the 6 newly acquired legions, and issued orders for ships from all the provinces loyal to him to gather at Brundisium. These ships would take at least a year to muster though, and Caesar could not
a year.
He realized that he could not risk being trapped in Italy, and resolved to secure his western flank. Spanish legions constituted a significant number of Pompey's best soldiers, and posed a threat to Gaul. Furthermore, with Pompey in the east, the Spanish legions, though well trained, were in Caesar's words, an army without a leader. Caesar attacked Pompey's force in the west individually, attempting to defeat them in detail before returning to Pompey.
So basically, just like attack them whilst they're attack them whilst they're split apart. Basically, yeah.
To achieve this, he sent one of the newly raised legions, the 16th, under his legate Valerius to Sardinia, and 2 legions, likely the 15th and 17th, under Curio to Sicily. Together,
how many men are in a legion? How many men are in a legion? Like, he's saying legions, but I don't know if he said how many men were in a legion before and I just didn't hear it. Well, how many men are in a legion?
They were to take control of the islands and then push into Africa, securing the grain supply. Sardinia was currently held by Cotta on behalf of Pompey, and Sicily by Cato. Cotta had no real force to speak of, and as soon as the citizens of the Sardinian capital of Carolis heard that Valerius was en route with the legion, they ejected Cotta, seeing no sense in attempting to resist the Caesarians.
Well, that was underwhelming.
Cotta fled to Africa, and Valerius quickly took control of the province. Cato in Sicily had attempted to make better preparations, raising levies across Sicily, but had also not been provided with any legions by Pompey. He too saw a fight against 2 legions with his levies as a fruitless task, also deciding to abandon the province,
that was
joining Pompey.
Also underwhelming.
With the islands taken without any resistance, Valerius and Curio gathered their force in Sicily and prepared for the attack on Africa. Meanwhile, Caesar, after spending less than a month in Rome, took the newly raised 18th and 19th and began his march to Spain, leaving Mark Antony in charge of Rome and the 8th, 12th and 13th legions in Italy to recover.
Mark Antony. Dude, that name sounds so out of pocket for this time period. Mark Antony. Sounds like you have Valerius, Fabius, Cotta, Curo, Pompey, and then you just have Mark Antony. Like, come on, bro. That sounds so out of pocket.
Ready to support
for this time period, bro.
Caesar himself aimed to march through Gaul to Spain and meet 7 of his legions along the way. However, Ahenobarbus, who had previously attempted to stall Caesar at Corfinium, had already been dispatched by Pompey to Gaul and was currently on his way to the city of Massilia, an important city on the route to Spain.
Wait, but
Caesar arrived at the city before Ahenobarbus, sometime in early April, but found the gates already closed and the Massilians preparing their defences, calling on local tribes for help and collecting in grain. Caesar attempted to negotiate with the Massilians, who, perhaps stalling for time, stated their neutrality in the war. However, once Ahenobarbus did arrive, they became more proactive, attacking nearby shipping in order to bolster their supplies. With
that switch up is crazy, bruh.
Men, this could have developed into a prolonged siege, something Caesar simply did not have the time for. He needed to be in Spain, not bogged down in a siege in Gaul. As such, he left the 3 legions with Trebonius in control, while Decimus Brutus, who had proved his knack for naval command against the Veneti, was to command 12 ships. Caesar then continued to Spain with a body.
Nah, bro. The Veneti, bro. Nah, that's probably my favorite Gallic tribe just for the fact that their naval skills or something else. Oh my gosh, bro.
Another legate of Caesar's, Fabius, had been sent with 3 legions in advance to make a foothold in Spain, taking control of the Pyrenean passes. Soon another 3 legions from Gaul, as well as auxiliaries, joined them. Caesarian forces would have been approximately 25 to 30,000 legionaries, 5,000 auxiliaries, and 6,000 cavalry, all veterans of the Gallic Wars. Now united, they began to push past the Pyrenees and into the Iberian Peninsula. The Pompeian forces in Spain were just as formidable. Spain had been assigned to Pompey as his province to govern, but he had left this responsibility to 3 of his legates. Marcus Varro was more a scholar than a soldier, but Lucius Afranius and Marcus Petreius each had almost 30 years military experience behind them, as well as experience fighting in Iberia during the Sertorian Wars. Afranius and Petreius would take 5 legions plus auxiliaries to confront Caesar, while Varro would defend further Spain with 2 legions as a reserve. In total, by Caesar's account, Afranius and Petreius commanded approximately 27,500 legionaries, 8,000 auxiliaries, and perhaps 10,000 cavalry.
Yo, these are some big numbers, man. These are some really extremely big numbers, bruh.
Camped in a strong position on high ground on the west side of the river Sicoris, just outside the hilltop town of Ilerda, which controlled a stone bridge, a key access point into the peninsula. When Fabius arrived with Caesar's legions, He saw that crossing the bridge would be nigh impossible given the Pompeians' strong position, and so constructed 2 new wooden bridges across the river 6 kilometers apart, and also encamped on the western bank. As the Pompeians had arrived beforehand, they had already stripped the western bank of most supplies, forcing Fabius to send foraging parties across the bridges to the eastern bank. These foraging parties and their escorts often skirmished with the Pompeian cavalry, but there was no major conflict. However, on one of these occasions, Fabius sent 2 legions across to the east bank to forage, with a strong cavalry escort to follow and protect the foraging parties, when a sudden storm swept in,
of course,
the bridge nearest to the Fabian camp.
It's always a storm.
The cavalry was stuck on the western bank, with the legions and foraging party on the eastern bank. Afranius wasted no time in seizing upon such an opportunity, immediately sending 4 legions and all his cavalry across the stone bridge to attack the beleaguered Caesarians. The Caesarian legions were well trained and experienced, quickly forming a defensive square on high ground with the foraging party in the center. Heavily outnumbered, the Caesarian forces held their formation while being assaulted from all sides by Pompeian infantry and cavalry. Despite their discipline, it would only be a matter of time before the formation broke and the soldiers were slaughtered. Fortunately, Fabius had also reacted quickly to the situation, sending another 2 legions across the river via the second bridge 6 kilometers away.
Dog, imagine being there in the moment, you see a storm coming, and you're thinking to yourself, is this gonna like destroy the bridge? And you're like looking, right? You're just looking and you're just constantly looking. But everyone has that moment where something bad happens and they're just like looking, basically the prelude, right? Bro, I could just only imagine, man, whether you're like a Roman soldier in the legion or you're just like freaking one of the leaders watching the storm coming, and you're just like sitting there like, yo, should I react to this now? Or if you're like one of these men in the foraging party and you're just looking at the bridge, just thinking to yourself, is that gonna destroy the bridge? Oh, bro, yo, these men, I swear, bro, these men would have different levels of adrenaline, man.
On their arrival, the Pompeians broke off their attack, not wanting to wholly commit without their full force. They returned to camp, allowing the Caesarians to make an orderly retreat back to theirs. The sources do not give us an idea of how many casualties the Caesarians sustained, but it is likely, given the situation, that they would have been significant, and certainly more than the Pompeians. A couple of days after this engagement, sometime in June, Caesar arrived at the camp with his bodyguard. Fabius, despite the prior engagement, had fulfilled his duties well. He had pushed through the Pyrenees, established a foothold, and kept Afranius in place until Caesar arrived. Nonetheless, Caesar quickly took control of the situation, finishing the repairs on the first bridge started by Fabius, and then going on the offensive. Leaving just 500 men in the first Fabian camp, Caesar marched the rest of his force nearer the town of Ilerda, offering battle to Afranius. Afranius did bring his force out of camp, but held them on the high ground, refusing to attack. He was no fool, and could not sacrifice his strong position so easily. Seeing that Afranius would not be drawn into a pitched battle, Caesar deployed his legions in 3 lines just 200 meters from Afranius's camp. The first 2 acted as a screen, whilst the back line dug trenches as the start of a fortified camp. The plan worked, and Caesar's force was able to retreat behind these defences for the night. The next day he expanded on the defences, assigning 1 legion to each side of the camp, the other 3 acting as a defensive line. Afranius tried to use his force to harass the workers, but Caesar's 3 defensive legions were able to prevent them from doing any real damage. With the camp now fully fortified, Caesar ordered the 500 men and baggage from the Fabian camp to join him in the new camp. Caesar soon noted a mound between Afranius's camp and Ilerda, and determined to take and fortify it, thereby cutting off Afranius from the supplies in the town. Starving out an enemy by such tactics was a favoured strategy of Caesar, and he had tried something very similar at Gergovia against Vercingetorix. Gathering 3 legions, the 9th, 14th and likely the 10th, he drew them up for battle. Caesar first sent the vanguard of the 14th to charge the mound, hoping to take it quickly and hold it while the rest of Caesar's legions followed up in good order. However, Afranius was quick to react, sending his own force to charge the mound. Afranius's men gained the top first, and with the advantage of the high ground, forced the men of the 14th to retreat back to their standards. Afranius reinforced his men and attempted to push his advantage, chasing Caesar's men and beginning to push the now shaken 14th Legion on Caesar's right flank. Caesar himself notes how fiercely Afranius's men fought. Long campaigns against the Iberian tribes had made these men battle-hardened and fierce fighters who fought in a looser formation than Caesar's legions. Caesar's right flank began slowly giving ground, the 14th attempting to retreat to higher ground. Seeing his line on the brink of breaking, Caesar ordered the 9th Legion to support his right flank, pushing back the Pompeian forces. The Pompeians quickly retreated to a stronger defensive location, taking up positions on the high ground outside the walls of Ilerda. The 9th Legion, thinking the Pompeians were routing, pursued them, but quickly found themselves caught in a precarious situation. The slope of the hill that Ilerda was situated on was narrow, funneling the 9th and exposing them to a hail of missiles from the Pompeians on the high ground.
Oh, that's nasty. That is nasty.
With each force sending reinforcing cohorts to refresh the front lines. For 5 hours, the two forces struggled.
Bro, hold on a second. You know something I just noticed, right? Pompey is closer, is he not? It looks like he's closer, right? Bro, isn't Caesar like overextending himself? Because can't Pompey simply just dispatch some troops because he's closer and just flank him from the behind?
The slope below the town. In a last bid to salvage the situation.
Look at this. Can he just swerve around? Literally just do a U-turn and just what? Because Caesar. Oh wait, there's some mountains blocking that though. I don't think he can see.
Caesar ordered his infantry to charge the lines, pushing over the crest of the slope and forcing the Pompeians against the walls of the city. With the crest of the slope gained, Caesar's cavalry was finally allowed room to maneuver and charged between the forces, allowing Caesar's legions to retreat in good order to their camp. In Caesar's account, he portrays this as a draw, saying 70 of his men died with 600 wounded, compared to 200 Pompeians dead. The reality is that Caesar lost the day. Given the situation,
a draw. Yo, yeah, I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. That's just hilarious to me. There's no way bro had the audacity to look at the casualties and be like, we're gonna call it a draw. No way, Caesar.
that Caesar's legions were fighting in, and their need to retreat, it is far more likely that Caesar's men suffered more casualties. Moreover, Caesar had failed to take the mound as he had originally hoped. Indeed, by the end of the day, the Pompeians held and fortified the mound.
Bro, I'm not gonna lie to you. Caesar seems overrated. Like, everyone was like telling me, "Oh my God, Caesar is like so great, blah blah blah. He's a genius, bro." Compared to like Napoleon and whatnot, Alexander the Great, I think Caesar's like number 3, like bottom of the barrel. Like, I'm not even gonna lie to you, bro. Nah, bro. Compared to Timur, all them other great conquerors, Caesar just is not impressing me right now. Compared to all these other people that I've reacted to, like, they showed up, right? They showed up, man. Even like in my Ultimate series, even the Sultans that I'm reacting to right now, they're like showing up. Right now I'm just not impressed by Caesar, bro. Like, it really does seem like now that he's met his match, he's not really like that great. You know, I don't know, man. I don't know. Maybe I'm talking too soon. I don't know. I'm just not impressed right now.
He had underestimated them, overcommitted his forces, and paid the consequences.
Yeah, Caesar's just not impressing me.
Caesar's situation then continues to worsen. A second storm brought a huge flood down the river, destroying both the bridges constructed by himself and Fabius.
Oh wow.
Caesar was cut off from his supply line, and the supplies he did have were dwindling. Afranius, on the other hand, had an abundance of supplies he had collected in Ilerda prior to Fabius's arrival, as well as control of the Ilerdan stone bridge. Caesar did have supplies, and almost 6,000 auxiliary reinforcements of archers and cavalry en route from Gaul. But with control of the bridge, Afranius was able to send 3 legions to attack them, killing 200 and forcing the rest to make camp on high ground.
Yeah, not looking good, Caesar.
His campaign in Spain seems to be on the edge of disaster.
Yeah.
Stuck in the middle of enemy territory, cut off from his almost 6,000 auxiliary reinforcements and the precious supplies they were bringing, and was days from being starved out. If he was to reclaim the situation, Caesar would need to take control of the eastern bank of the river Sicoris and secure his supply line. With the bridges unable to be repaired due to high water and marauding Pompeian forces, Caesar came up with a different plan. He began construction of several small boats of the kind he had seen in Brittany, made of lightweight timber and animal hides. He then ordered a small detachment to take these boats by wagon at night almost 34 kilometers up the river. These men then crossed the river, fortifying a small hill, giving Caesar a small foothold on the eastern bank. Once this was established, a legion was sent from the main Caesarian camp up the river to construct a bridge from the western bank, while the initial detachment assisted from the eastern bank. Within days of beginning, they had the bridge constructed.
Now, one thing that is impressing me though is the fact that Caesar's men, like, their engineering skills are like top notch. That is impressive. That is super. I love it when I see Caesar's engineers in action doing their thing. I love it. It is so satisfying how fast they're able to do their work, man. I honestly do love that. So yeah,
providing a
that is one thing that is noteworthy, in my opinion.
Stabilizing his supply line and allowing the reinforcements from Gaul to meet up with his legion encamped on the west side. With this influx of troops, particularly the prized Gallic cavalry, Caesar was finally able to harass Pompeian foraging parties on the eastern bank and begin to regain control of the situation. While the Ilerdan campaign was underway, the Siege of Massilia...
Okay, I'm gonna pause here. We're gonna continue Massilia next week. Yeah, I think I'm at 30 minutes. I think, I don't know. Am I at 30 minutes? I don't know. I'm just gonna pause it here though, because I don't want to get like, I need the details to, like, stay in my brain. I don't want to like go too far, because then I'm gonna start forgetting like important stuff and blah 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 blah. Anyways, look, man, you made it all the way this far into the video already. If you like what I got to say, go check out my other videos. Before you do that, make sure you subscribe and like. If you've got anything for me to react to in the future, go comment down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.